We're going to be learning about some ceramic words and some tools that you will use when you are making pottery. So, the first one is kiln. And a kiln is a giant oven used to bake pottery. So, say you make something out of clay and you want it to harden, you would put it in a kiln and have that kiln heat up, and your clay would get super hard. There is more than one type of kiln. So, all three of these pictures show different types of kilns. If you've seen a kiln before, you've probably seen that one on the far left. A kiln normally heats up to about 2,000 degrees, which is very hot. Before the kiln was invented, people would put their clay pieces into an actual fire in order to harden them. So in this picture, you see some pottery stacked up, and then they would actually build that fire around the pottery and have a fire so that the pottery would harden. Next, we're going to move on to glaze. And glaze is the word that describes the pottery paint, or what is actually used to make the pottery colorful, to decorate the pottery. And it also is what makes the piece waterproof. So if you want to put water in it or a different liquid, if you want to have cereal in your bowl, you're going to need some glaze. One thing about glaze is that it's going to look super different before you put it in the kiln and after you get it out of the kiln. So, for example, you see this picture and it's split down the middle. On the left-hand side is what the glaze would look like before it is fired in the kiln. And on the right-hand side is what it will look like after that glaze gets super hot and it melts. So they look significantly different from one another. And I'm going to show you an example of this using my own pottery. I love glaze. It's one of my favorite parts of pottery. So this is a bowl I made, and this is the picture of the glaze that I did before I put it into the kiln. So I put some stripes on it, some polka dots, and it is red and white. But then I put it in the kiln and it got super, super hot, and that glaze melted. And this is what it comes out looking like. So the colors completely change, and now it is super smooth and glassy looking, and it could hold water or liquid. One fun fact about glaze is that one of the main ingredients of it is actually powdered glass. So when you put the glaze on the piece originally, it's going to be a powdery substance, but then after it heats up, like you saw, it melts, and that's why it looks so shiny, because there's actually glass in the ingredients. The next thing we are going to learn about is the potter's wheel. And this is a machine that spins around super fast, and you put wet clay on it. And this is used to make round pots and bowls and mugs and things like that. And if you ever heard the term throwing on the wheel, that simply means creating ceramic artwork using the potter's wheel. And we are going to learn more about throwing on the wheel in a couple weeks. The last term that we are going to learn about today is score. And score is when you want to attach two pieces of clay together. And in order to do that, you want to scratch up both of the surfaces that you're going to attach together, and then maybe apply a little wet clay or some water to what you scratched up, and then you carefully stick them together. This is almost like Velcro. So as you see, those two different sides of Velcro are super pointy, but that helps them stick together. If you try to put two smooth pieces of clay together and they dry, they're just going to fall apart.